Welcome to Bundle Builder. This is the first in a series of videos that I'm going to produce to show people how to use Bundle Builder, but in this first one I'm sort of starting at the end. I'm showing you a mock bundle that has already been created in Bundle Builder. It's aimed primarily at the UK court and tribunal system to produce bundles that would be wanted in those courts and tribunals, but I'm sure that the uses will be found of it in different jurisdictions, either for discovery, disclosure, and or creating a bundle of files for use in a court or tribunal hearing. But I'm going to walk you through each of the panes which make up the overall window for the application. The left-hand pane here is where you would drag and drop or use the plus buttons to add documents, add PDFs to a bundle that you're building, and it gives various pieces of information about the different PDFs that are in there. Then this center pane, and particularly if I open that, is very much like Preview on a Mac, so you can see your PDF and you've got thumbnails down the side showing you the different pages of the PDF. And in actual fact, if you drag here, you can enlarge those thumbnails so you can sort of just jump to whichever page it is that you're looking for. You can reduce those way back down if you know the page you're going for or whatever it is, or you can lose those altogether to give yourself a little bit more real estate for the page you're actually on at any given moment. Then the right hand column is essentially the properties of the document. So you've got the document number, the original file name, and then the document name, which you can change there, the document name. I'll just reproduce the name I already had, but then setting that document name there gives you the document name over on the left pane. Now if the document has a date, then you'll let's go to this contract of employment, then you say it's got a date, and the date of that document is the 6th of January 2020. So 6 Jan 2020, that's the UK way of doing a date. If your dates are represented differently where you are, then in your version this will be set up as per the way it is locally for you when you install Bundle Builder on your Mac. And a date confirmed is selected there, and there's a tick next to date because it's been confirmed. If date was not confirmed, you'd have a question mark and date would be in red. But the reason that that's an issue is because when you load a document into Bundle Builder, it finds a date and essentially gives you a date and suggests that that is the date for the document. But I've set it so that you need to get the tick really before you can be sure of that, so that a human has actually said what that date is. Now, if we go to another document here, this is an email, and this is the 8th of January 24, and it has a time, and the time is 9:14, and all of that is confirmed there. It's actually a chain of emails, and in the notes there I've added this is a chain of emails so that anyone going through all of this can see from the note that it isn't just a single email. Then we've got tabs across this right hand pane, and the next tab is index, and this is the index that will be produced with all of the possible options selected. But you don't have to have all of the possible options selected. You can eliminate some of them or lots of them or whatever you decide. An interesting thing there is size is one of the things. If we go back to the properties, you can see that the size is specified in the properties, 33 kilobytes, which is pretty tiny. But in the index, if you look at the size, if you need to reduce the overall size of your bundle, you can look down here and see which files are taking up lots of space, lots of the size, making up lots of the size, and then you can potentially look into ways in which you can reduce the size. Okay, so within Bundle Builder, you've gathered, as it were, the data into the index tab on the right-hand pane. And now what you want to be able to do is export that out into something that's useful. And using this button down here, you can do so and just select Save. And that will save into what's known as an RTF file. RTF stands for Rich Text Format. And I'm just going to call it Index and Save. And if you go and find that file and right click on the file and select Open in Pages, you then get a pretty awful looking table. And here I'm just turning the page around so that it's landscape rather than portrait, just gives me a little bit more room to breathe. I'm not going to go deeply into this now, but this gives you a rough idea of how to sort of tidy this table up. And there I'm going to merge that cell with the cell next to it, and then that gives more room for the heading of that section to be able to sort of fit on the single line without taking up two lines. And you can gradually improve this and do that for each of the headings. You can get rid of columns that you don't want, and you can alter the width of columns so that your page numbers or your document numbers don't have to take up so much width. And where you've got a column that is the name of the document, then you can have more width and you can wrap text and you can do all of those things. And basically this is a sort of formatting, tidying up job more than it is anything very difficult. It's just a question of working out exactly what you need. And then, so quite easily in Pages, you can end up with an index that's looking quite sensible. You've got rid of all of the columns that you don't need in your index. Up the top here, you can see that you've got space to put whatever headings you need, tram lines, all the name of the court, the parties, all the rest of it. Any footnotes can go there, because essentially what you've got is an ordinary Pages document and it's got a table in it, and that table is your index. Now, I'm sure you'll want to lay yours out slightly differently from me. You might want to have different columns or more columns. From my perspective, I would consider this as sort of a disclosure or discovery bundle of documents, because I've got the document numbers. By the time you're going to the employment tribunal, some people leave the document numbers in, but I'd get rid of the document numbers. They're not particularly important for someone using the index. What's much more important is the page numbers, which are over here on the right. So whatever it is you want to include in the index, you're as well to not check those boxes before you export to RTF. But then once you've exported to RTF, you simply save the file in a location that you set. You go back to the file and right click on the file itself, and then what you're able to do is select Open With, and you can open with Pages. Then if you save it in Pages, from then on it's a Pages document. So you've got over the RTF hurdle and you can just do whatever you want with it in Pages. Then under shortcuts, this is mostly keyboard shortcuts that you can use and various things that are worth knowing about the way that the whole thing works. And then down here, there's a note about collaboration. You can collaborate with others when building the bundle, and do so through the cloud, through iCloud on Apple devices. But you can do the same in terms of collaboration through Dropbox and OneDrive and whatever cloud service it is that you've got. There's a note there about conflicts. Now, because I am registered for this bundle as the bundle boss, it basically says to contact me if you've got any issues about collaboration. Now we have another pane down here at the bottom, and the pane at the bottom is all about notes that, say, a barrister might want. Barristers tend to have lots of highlights on their hard copy of the bundle and lots of post-it notes or sticky notes which show them where they want to turn to in the bundle. Well, this is dealing with that question. if we go in Doc 8 down to here, we can see that I've added a sticky note, I've added different coloured highlights, and I've added a rectangle. On examination in chief for Sarah Chen, question 1, did you accept that? So this person is saying, well, it took about an extra 40 hours of work. So that might be a question that an advocate, barrister, lawyer wants to ask of a witness. You can work out the ways that you want to annotate things and the rules that you want to make for yourself about how you do these things. But in order to add these annotations, you can simply go to here and you can select yellow highlight, and then everything you highlight from then on is going to yellow highlight until you stop that happening. Now I can highlight again or select again without it actually highlighting. The same goes for if you want to add a rectangle. So you might want to add a rectangle to that there to remind you of something, and with or without a post-it note to actually give that explanation. Detail of that will be in future videos, but this is the basic idea. Now, whether it's annotations on the file, on the PDF, or in the bundle, or whether it's these notes down here under these tabs, it sort of makes no difference to the extent that none of that is available to anybody else to see if you are collaborating with others, and in particular it wouldn't even be possible for you to share what's on your copy of the bundle and the tabs down here, because that doesn't even get shared with the bundle when the bundle is shared, and neither do the annotations. What you can do is, if you want to export the entire bundle or export a selection of the bundle or print the entire bundle or print a selection of the bundle, you can do all of that. But if you want to print the entire bundle, the only way your annotations get included is if you deliberately tick that box, and it's basically pointing out to you, are you sure you want your annotations to be included? And so that's the only way your annotations are ever going to come out in hard copy. And it's only there really because once you've finished prepping the bundle, you may wish to print off a hard copy for yourself and include the annotations. But we're not going to print right now. So that is the main windows, the main panes. Another thing worth mentioning is that to the top right, you've got the choice to lock the bundle numbering. And so this is why you have a bundle boss, because the bundle boss will not be able to lock all of the numbering until the bundle boss has ticked all of those boxes and then put the bundle boss's password in there to actually lock the bundle. Once the bundle is locked, nobody else can change the order of a document. You couldn't drag that down if the bundle was locked and change the order of those two PDFs, which I'm going to revert back because that's the way they should be. You can't do anything like that. You can't add files here. You can't move files about. You can't change sections. You can't do any of those things once the bundle is locked. But what you can do, and what others can do, and the bundle boss can do, is add a new section at the end. And so even on a locked bundle, you can add a section and add pages and do whatever you like beyond the point where the bundle was locked. And that's quite a significant feature of the app. You then have a numbering lock change log. So if the lock state changes, that's updated here. And you also have a change log of all the different things that have been done to change the log. And if you are the bundle master, the bundle boss, which I am, you get a little dustbin icon there. And by clicking that, if you enter your password, you can get rid of all these past changes and sort of start afresh with any changes listed are going to be changes that are done since it was last cleared, since the change history was last cleared. We've already looked at this button, and this is export the entire bundle or a selection, or print the entire bundle or a selection. One other thing really worth noting is this section down here at the bottom, where I've suggested you might have cross-examination questions. Actually, something else to mention about that is that you will only get something visible in that section if you're on a document where something has been recorded for that document. But if you do add a new tab and you say this is a new tab, once you've added that new tab, the new tab will be visible at every document you go to, but there won't be any content for the tab unless that selection of tab coincides with a document where there is a note that has been made under that tab. I'm sure if you rewind and watch this video all over again, that will actually make sense, but it is quite a lot to take on board. But by clicking this icon, I can get rid of the tabs window altogether. And then I've got more real estate for looking at my PDF. And if I click this one, I've got even more real estate, and it's shared the space out a bit between the two. I could then reduce down the width of this left-hand column, or I could even get rid of that left-hand column altogether, and I could hide the annotation items, but I can also bring back the thumbnails so that I can be looking at something different. And I also have the choice. I'm currently on page 383 out of 399. If I want to jump to page 3 of the whole bundle, I can do that, and then I could go to page 17 of the bundle, and I could go to page 381 of the bundle, or I could go to document 2 in the bundle, or document 3 in the bundle. And having done all of those things, I've now created a sort of breadcrumb trail where I can backtrack through all of those choices that I just made and work my way back through the pages that I was looking at. And if I want to bring back this, I can go to a different document by clicking on the document. And if I want to bring back that and go to the index, I can also select where I am in the bundle by selecting a different document in the index. Now, I hope that's enough to give you a broad overview of what the app will do. I'm not going to get into the whole collaboration thing until much further down the line, but essentially, once a bundle has been created, let's say there's a solicitor and a barrister working on the case, the solicitor will probably put all of the documents into the bundle and create the bundle and put the dates in and the times and all the things that are needed. And then the barrister can look at that same file in the cloud and add other documents to the file or rearrange the order how the barrister wants the order of the bundle to be, or whatever it may be. And so the two can work closely together by coordinating on what's actually going to end up in the bundle. I think that's quite long enough for a first video. Thanks very much for paying attention, and let me know if there are particular things that you would like to me to do videos on. My email address is francis@pdfpaginate.com. So Francis, FRANCIS, @pdfpaginate.com. Thank you very much for your time, and that'll do for now.